All right, everybody. I'm here with my man Jason Sipple. And Jason, where are you based out of?
Based out of Ocoee, Florida.
Where?
Ocoee, right northwest of Orlando, man.
I
The
just
city
moved to
beautiful.
Florida. Okay,
The city
I
beautiful.
just moved to Florida, so I don't know where anything is at. But
See, I started off with kind of opening up already.
okay,
Ocoee, where
yeah,
that's Ocoee.
yeah, that's all right. I'll have to visit. I'll
Oh,
have to
yeah.
visit. So, out here in Nashville at the Money Multiplier event, and just learning, absorbing some stuff, some new options about infinite banking. There's so much more that goes into this. There's so many levels, opportunities, all these things. And Jason, you've been doing this now for a little while. Tell me a little bit about your experience just getting into the concept of infinite banking, because I know for everybody, you can't get into this without at first at least rethinking your thinking. So,
I love you started with rethinking your thinking, man. And I
yeah.
know since we've just met, we've
Yep.
barely known each other, but every time I've seen Shawn, he's always sharpening his saw. He's already you're already up leveling by bringing this setup so we could have this conversation, so we could
Definitely.
recapture this conversation. So already with the thinking that you are bringing to this is inspiring to me. So,
Appreciate it.
remember the first time that you broke into a safe? You had your head up against the lock and you're turning it and you're waiting. Do you remember that? The first time you robbed the bank?
Yep. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I was a young man.
Do you remember how exciting it was when you heard it click?
Yep.
And it's not really about robbing the safe, is it?
No,
No,
not
it's about what?
about really just unlocking what's in there, figuring out, I guess,
No, the moment. Think of the
yeah,
feeling when you hear it click.
that
What's it feel like?
that release of just like, I got it.
You
I
got it. It
figured it
doesn't
out.
matter what's in the
Yeah.
safe. You broke into the
Yeah.
safe.
I broke the code. I cracked the code.
You cracked the code. You
Yeah.
broke into the safe.
Yep.
It wasn't ever about what you were robbing. It was the thrill.
Yep.
It was the cracking of the safe. That's how I felt when I discovered this.
That's
I
awesome.
felt blocked. I never even understood that there was a block around money. And I believe that is true for the majority of people, the majority of not only Americans, but people.
Agreed.
I believe that there's a block because of the amount. Like we watched someone with NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming,
Yep.
right? No matter what you think of it, good or bad, the fact is that you can program someone to say what you want them to say
Yep.
through their subconscious. So the amount of programming that we receive in school and commercials, in life, from our broke-ass brother-in-laws, from our aunts, from our uncles, grandparents, they've all been programmed, but it's constant programming. It's constant telling us what the rules are.
Yep. And I think it's there for a reason.
Oh,
I believe they
100%.
all know exactly what they're doing.
Well, everyone that's teaching us does
Yes.
not know.
No, they do not know.
They do not know,
No.
but somebody knows.
Yep. Somebody knows.
And somebody understands how our psychology works,
Definitely.
right? Like even like if you go back to what happened in Rome, if
Mhm.
you go back, thousands of years ago, we're doing the same stuff today and no one's catching it.
Yep.
And so for me, your question was infinite banking. How did I get into it?
Yeah.
I had a problem with money. I thought I could just go and whatever I did, I'm like, I'm going to be the best at it. I'm going to achieve. I'm going to be great at it.
I
And
know
I'm
that
gonna,
mindset. I know
I'm
that
going to
mindset.
make money. I'm going to be the best at whatever I do. I'm going to make a bunch of money. I'm going to go live my life and do the stuff I like to do.
Mhm.
Like, cause I never liked conventional things. Like I'm never
Same.
like, you're not a conventional guy. I want to know
Nope.
your story, but like, I've never been conventional. Like my degree's in medical illustration, right? There's no reason to be a medical illustrator. There's not really much need for them.
Yeah.
But when my art teacher or my high school AP bio teacher's like, hey, you seem like you're a pretty good artist. I'm like, well, I don't know any artists. There's not a single artsy person I know. And the ones I do know are like the goth kids and stuff. Cool, but not like
Mhm.
my thing.
Yep.
Like I was a jock and a nerd. And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. And it took me 10 years later to realize, well, I turned a hobby into a career.
Hmm.
And it's been like that constantly. So like this little cult at the moment of IBC, like that's what I've been laughing at the whole time we've been here.
It is-
I'm out on the sidewalk and I'm like, today I'm talking to an owner of a food truck and he's super proud. Best food I've had in Nashville so far.
Oh, nice. I'll have to get that
Yeah,
name.
right over here.
Okay.
This is right over here. Best food I've had in Nashville. Really clean, tasted
Good.
great. But I asked him because I could tell he was proud. I'm like, "Is this yours?" Yes. And then I didn't even ask anything else. I was like, "Great, how?" And I have 3 more. It's a family thing. And my wife says, Patty says, "Why didn't you tell him about infinite banking?" I go, "Baby, not everyone has a problem, wants to know about infinite banking. His listening is not open yet." But she's like, "You should tell everybody."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's right. We are in a cult. We should invite everybody to our cult.
It is. It definitely does feel that way, and I talk about that on my podcast and when I shoot my videos. I'm like, because to be honest, I tell people I'm not a religious person, but this black book, this is what I keep next to my bed.
Yes.
This is what replaces my Bible, and it's just I go to that for so much understanding because there's so many layers to it that just you're able to connect with of things that you weren't taught or you're not seeing done in your daily lives, or it's just so much misinformation that I have been fed that I'm just looking for a little bit of truth and those type of things. And I feel like I find a lot of that.
That's the word, man.
In my book.
That's the word, truth.
Yeah.
Truth. What's truth mean to you?
So I find truth in numbers. When things can be proven to work, and that's a good question. I've never really thought about like what the definition of truth means to me. I guess everybody's truth is a little bit different to each individual, but something that speaks to me that I put a lot of belief into, that I believe provides
That's another
value.
big word, belief.
Yep.
So we got truth, we got belief, we had Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That's your Bible,
Mm-hmm.
right? The little black book.
Yep.
Like I want to take this. I know that we're having the conversation.
Open conversation. Let's go.
So just with that, I'm just going to offer something from me. So that what I've been saying, like you said, 2 or 3 things that made it really intriguing that things happen for a reason. Like our words make our world.
Yep.
So like the words that you're sharing with me at this moment into existence. I've been telling people that just recently that this is the book, and trying to make bold statements. This little book by Nelson Nash, 91 pages long, is a book that needs to be next to every Bible in America. No one's reading their Bible. No one's going to read this book.
Yeah.
But like, let's put this as the most important book that a family could have financially.
Agreed.
And then you start reading his principles and you look at the depth of his thinking, like one line of his book, you can read it several different times at several different periods. And it's like watching a good movie or reading a good novel.
Yep.
There's always new meaning.
Yep.
Because there's a new readiness to like receive the information.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him, but you can tell that the depth of his wisdom was just like you said, to be able to write something that has multiple different meanings. And I'm sure he was very aware of all those things because he was a very intelligent man.
He's very intentional.
Yeah. Intentional. I think that's a great word, intentionality. And I think he put so much intention into that book, time, practice, love, energy into that book. So it reaches you on so many different levels as you go through your experience of becoming the banker.
Yes. Yes. And he does it in a way where it's not jargony.
No, not at all.
It seems too simple. And when you talk to a lot of, even in our room, you still have a lot of financial wisdom that's being shared. That's very jargony.
Yep.
That's very over there. And it's not very friendly. Because as soon as our brain hears one word we don't understand, it happened to me twice this weekend.
Yep.
Where there was a problem that my brain didn't understand. It just went beep.
Yep.
And the rest of whatever they said,
Didn't hear it.
didn't hear any of it.
Yeah.
It didn't hear any of it. And so I think that's a challenge for you and I as we build this peer relationship, this friendship, is really how can we be more simple in our communication? Because it comes back to truth for me. I was sitting in the room earlier thinking, what am I? I'm a dad, I'm a husband, right? I'm a leader. I'm an infinite banker. I'm an athlete, I'm a son, a friend. Like think of all the hats we wear as men. Men's, if we can keep everything simple, a men's role is 3 things. Do you know what the 3 Ps are? Have you ever heard this before?
No, I haven't. Provider, protector, and...
So you know intuitively.
I don't know what the third one is.
If you do the first 2 well, you get to do the third. If you provide for your woman, if you protect your woman, what do you get to do? You have a little,
Pleaser?
You have a little, you have to procreate.
Procreate. Okay, got you. Pleaser, procreate.
So if we do the first 2 well, you get to do the third, and that's where
where the fun happens.
That's where the fun happens.
Okay.
So that's 3 things. It's creation. Okay. Because in any relationship, like when men are men, when we're manly, when we do these things, the woman can flow. She can feel safe, and they're going to test us. Like this weekend was like an impromptu vacation, and it's not a cheap place to come hang out.
No, it's not.
Right. But we went and we bought cowboy boots, we bought shirts, we bought things. And I said, you know what? Whatever. It's just money. It flows to and from.
Yep.
It flows to and from. And if I have that rule around money that we can't have fun because it costs X and I got to measure stuff, but my wife's testing me.
Yeah.
And she felt so pretty last night dancing. She was flowing in her energy. She's like, if the girls would have came downstairs, we would have been on stage, baby. I'm like, I know you would have, honey. But
Mm.
it's that freedom, and that's what we're here for. So I was thinking
Exactly.
to bring it all the way back around. What am I and why am I here? I'm here because I'm seeking truth. When I see truth, when you see a law, laws are laws for a reason.
Mhm.
Laws of nature,
Yep.
right? An object in motion tends to stay in
Hey,
motion unless
another object.
acted upon
Yeah.
by an object of equal
Equal
and
or, yeah,
opposite force, right?
exactly.
So it's just laws of nature. So when you see how money works and when you see the truth of what we bring people, it's no different than the truth you have in a relationship, the truth in you have in communication and the conscious communication.
So why do you
So
think, why do you think there's that lack of truth behind money right now? Because again, as we learn
easy. That's
more
easy.
about this,
That's
you
easy.
you start to realize like this all seems so simple, but of course I've been given all of the complete opposite information about
Yes.
my money and
It's
controlling my
easy.
money.
Why do you think? Why do you think?
I am not
The
a
sim the sim
conspiracy
the
theorist.
sim the simplest way you can say it, one word, why do
Control.
you think?
That's yeah, control is what I
Control.
think.
So everyone's watching this. I want you to go ahead and you get your little tinfoil hats out. You can put them on with us because I'm going to talk about that. It is all about control. It's about control with our food.
Yep.
Our food system, it's only controlled by, I think, 5 companies, which probably means 1 or 2 families that control all the food.
Yep.
So our longevity, one of the presidents in South America recently said, I forget which country, so I don't want to quote it. I don't want to say who it was, but they recently said, listen, our retirement fund, it's going to run out before people die. Like he said, people are living too long for our plan to work.
You
And
gotta
we're
keep it.
having the same problem in the States. Our retirement plan retirement age used to be 65.
Mhm.
Life expectancy used to be 62. So
They had a reason. Yeah, they had a reason
we
behind.
start living a lot longer. So then you got food. We got the 3 horsemen that kill us, right? I'm not going to go into all the different, I'm just going to touch each vertical.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the 3 things that are killing us. None of those things were, go look it up. None of them were around in 1890. They're all because of industrialization.
Yep.
And because of, there's all the different problems we're solving, but it's all the things that go into our food. And then what happens? Then you have medicine.
Yep.
Medicine
Pharmaceutical. Yep. Number two.
is reactive to the
Mhm.
problem caused by food.
Yep.
Okay. So then you have that part of it. And then from there, you have education. Everyone's being groomed to be an employee to work for the firms, for the original, what are they called? Like the Rockefellers
Yep.
and the ones that did all the
So
railroad.
those are like the real. Those are the.
The guy, they have a name for him though, but I can't remember the name right now. But there's a name for, not tycoon, but their names. They're like the original creators at like
Okay.
Vanderbilt University, and the universities
Yeah.
were built to have employees to run those organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what our kids are signing up for now, is to be compliant, to be like, kids don't sit still.
They don't.
No, and we're
And
grooming them,
the
and you're
problem,
fitting them, and
the solution for that is let's get them some drugs.
and then so that's 3, right?
Yep.
And then you've got religion,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got money.
Yep.
Those 5 things will control every single person. It'll touch their emotions. It'll control them by their fears, by the things, and it controls us. So that's why we're not taught about money, because if we knew what our money was doing, if we knew about money, we wouldn't do the things we were doing, and then there'd be no control over us, and we
Agreed.
wouldn't be giving up all the money that passes through our fingertips.
Agreed. So let's jump to why do you think people struggle so much with this concept of infinite banking? Because I think a lot of people, we understand once you get past that certain point, you understand the simplicity of what this really is.
Yes.
But what do you think that's blocking most people from
Oh man,
understanding that?
that's such a beautiful question. And if I knew the answer, you and I would be multimillionaires, if not billionaires,
Yeah.
in this moment. And I mean that sincerely. It's all I think about. I literally don't think about anything else except that question. And I think the answer is because, like I shared with the food truck owner, he doesn't know he has a problem.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he needs an answer. And then you go to the second part of it, all the grooming, all of the lack of neuroplasticity. Like in another communication thing I'd studied that I believe in is the ultimate kind of tool
Mm-hmm.
for communication. It's integrity-based human influence, but it has a formula and it's an algorithm. It's an actual thing to have conversations and be aware of your energy
Okay.
and what's happening. And like, it's putting everything and all things in one context so we can talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
We have so many different contexts because you and I's background's way different.
It is. Yeah.
Like, it might not be exactly the same, but like, I don't know you well enough to know, but like my wife's Ecuadorian background's way different than my upbringing in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you keep layering in. Like, we were downtown last night and we were walking back together and she's like, honey, it's amazing that every single person is always thinking about them and every single person is completely unique, but yet here we all are doing the same things.
Yeah.
But no one's having the same experience.
Nope.
And so that is kind of what we're tending with, is like, what is the behavioral pattern that we have to interrupt to show someone? And it also comes down to their level of neuroplasticity. Like, how open are they to a paradigm shift? How open are they to something that's so simple? It just involves changing one thing.
Yeah. One step, which is, I think that's one of the big problems, is the simplicity of it. You expect for something to be able to change your entire world, your life, it has to be so much more complex.
Yes.
When instead we're talking about adding one step to
Yes.
a system that you're already doing, and it can change everything. I think that kind of gives people drawback. Like, it can't be that easy.
Yes. And that's what you and I's job is, to uncover what that is for an individual and a group at the same time. Like, group influence is about understanding the needs of that group. Why is everybody here this weekend? Because they want the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all afraid. We all have two fears. Do you know what the two fears are? If you break everything down super simple, what would you think the two fears are?
The fear of failure.
Yeah, 100%.
And the fear,
The other one goes
of
back even more
not
primal.
acceptance.
More primal.
That's
what
the
it
fear of
is.
not be able to provide. Or
Rejection.
okay, yeah. So not
Rejection,
acceptance.
because
Okay,
we would
yeah.
die.
Yeah.
We would die. Like, if we were tribal, if we were the
Outcasted.
hunters, and like one of us decided, I'm not really a hunter, I'm even more of a dancer.
Yeah.
Like, we're not so useful to the women, to the men, and maybe entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
but most likely you're going to be cast out. So rejection. So that innate fear of rejection or failure are the two things that keep us safe and conformant,
Yeah.
because we want to avoid that pain. I do it today. I'm going to be 50 in a couple days, and I literally am still worried. Like I got super nervous when I'm on stage with Jadu and Jonah yesterday. And I was like, why am I nervous? I love being on stage. I love all these people, but I felt their presence and I gave up my power in the moment because they're such great communicators.
Yeah.
And in my head, I put them up on a pedestal. And so when I got on stage and I could feel their energy, all of a sudden I went back to being like a 6-year-old boy.
Interesting.
Because
Okay.
I was rejecting myself. I'm like, oh, I don't belong up here. And it's that simple, like, energetic awareness.
Yeah.
So people are afraid. That's my whole point. All of this, to bring it back, people are afraid. The people who are math people are afraid. The people who aren't math people are afraid. So how do we get them to understand that it's like Henry Ford said, you either think you can or you think you can't, but either way, you're right.
Yep.
When you believe you can do infinite banking, you will do, and you do it at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've talked to Hannah about infinite banking. Now, she's done this so long. She's so good at it. Hannah Kessler, I'm talking about.
25 years old.
25 years old. But I've had conversations with Hannah where, like, I asked her about her investment. She, like, pulls out her phone and looks at a note, like, how much she has out working and this and that. I'm like, well, that was super simple.
Yeah.
And, like, most people will, like, have spreadsheets and their attorneys have looked it over. They'll look it over. No, it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
All we're doing is changing where your surplus money goes first. If you don't have surplus money, then you haven't figured out the first job of making money.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people just want a magic pill.
Yep.
For that part of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
how are you currently utilizing your policy? Because you come here and you find out all these awesome ways that everybody is utilizing their policy. The whole idea behind infinite banking is this is a place to warehouse your money, but this is not a place to leave your money. Stagnant money doesn't make you money. So we like to get our money out and get it flowing while we're still controlling it in our system. So what are you doing with your policies to better your overall banking situation?
we went from, I wasn't Brent. I didn't have $984,711 in debt when I
Neither.
started.
I had some debt, but not that much. Yep.
I had probably bad debt, not counting the mortgage, 100. I'm trying to think of the number, 117,000
Okay.
in bad debt when we started. A car, truck, water filtration system, debt I made all the mistakes financially. Like I said, I thought I could just outwork the system.
Yep.
You know? And so we used our first policy. We recaptured $2,200 immediately a
Okay.
month
Nice.
back to us. So that's 26 grand, 26,400 a year.
Mm-hmm.
We took us another, I don't know, 12 months or so, but we paid off another 1,000. So that's $3,300 a month that comes back to us that used to go to other people's
Elsewhere.
families.
Yep. Okay.
Right. So that was policy one. Policy two was more protection because I was 5x more insured than Patty.
Okay.
We have our 2 boys.
Yep.
So I looked, she has a term policy, and I was like, well, we actually used the money we were paying ourselves back, so almost the same dollars in a way,
Okay.
and started her policy. But we had a bill for Uncle Sam for the business,
Yep.
tax bill. So hers was to protect her and to pay our tax bill to get that money into a system where it was growing. Our third one was on Connor. We used that one to go skiing last year. That's our vacation fund.
Nice.
So I showed him how, hey, we put on 2% card, pulled a loan, paid it back. Now we maybe made 1.5 with the whole movement of money. And he gets to tell people we paid for our ski trip, to Park City through Connor's bank.
Through my bank. Yep.
And then my fourth one was from Payne. My fourth one was because I had just gotten approved to be an S Corp.
Okay.
And we were like, woohoo!
Yeah.
We waited all year to get the IRS, stamp of approval,
Yep.
not knowing if we were going to get approved or not, wondering what our taxes were going to bill, just kind of navigating that entrepreneurial journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh, cool. Congratulations, Jason. You owe me $40,000.
Yes, I got.
Yeah. Oh,
You're like, what's in my? Oh, that's the bill.
I went,
That's the
oh,
bill's in
I
my-
went $40,000. Are
Okay.
you kidding me? And so I wrote the first one on 12/15, worst day of 2023. You asked me, Jason, what's your worst day of 2023? It was 12/15. I got down, I'm not joking. I got down on my knees. I said, what do I do? I remember Nelson's book. I said, what do I do? Before I went to bed, I usually just lay in bed and reflect and
reflect
say
on
what
the day,
I'm
yep.
grateful for and what my intentions are to go to sleep. But that night I actually got on my knees because I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, what do I do? And my brain just kept going. And I thought, what did Nelson do? Why did Nelson start this? Oh, because he had a problem. He owed a lot of money of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, wait, we've been putting money aside for the taxes and we're paying ourselves back this amount. So, and I don't have a retirement plan. So it's about telling this story as well. So I thought multifaceted, 5 things. So I started a 50-50 policy.
Okay.
I overfunded it. I rushed it through at the end of the year. I even went to the nurse. You talk about the fear of rejection.
Yep.
The nurse was maybe not the best shape. She made me an inch shorter and 10 pounds heavier than I was that morning when I had weighed in naked. And I'm like, I'm not that heavy. She's like, you're 5'9", 178. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then so I started worrying about my health rating.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, this is not going to be as efficient as my first policy. What's going to happen? All the stuff that all of our people that we help are thinking of. So I always keep that in mind. As I'm rejecting myself, feeling I'm going to get a worse health rating, everybody I help feels that way. They must.
Yeah.
They must. It must be a normal thing.
It definitely is. Yeah.
And so I got approved. We funded that policy. I took the loan out. I paid the other payroll tax at $115. Now that money is protecting the family for another $1 million. And it's growing forever, uninterrupted compounding. And now the tax money goes back into that. And Drew, who does all Chris's YouTube stuff, saw the video. Jason, that can't be true. And he's a numbers guy. He's an engineer. That can't be true. I'm like, Drew, it is. I did it. Here's my policy. Send it to him. Here's the year that I hit the efficiency points, year 4. Every dollar goes into this will give me more than $1 I can spend. That means I'll have a little trade-off in long-term thinking where I'm not going to have all my tax money available, but the majority of it goes to Jason and the Sipples before it goes to my uncle. He's not a very good uncle either.
Nope. I don't like that guy very much either.
No, I mean, my eyebrows get bushy like his sometimes, and I have to trim them down. But
So do mine.
yeah, so
That's good. So I guess before I give you the floor to kind of shout out, let people know where they can find you, because I know you're doing some pretty cool stuff. What would you tell people as if you could give people one bit of advice if somebody's looking at this, or they're considering looking at this, maybe they've looked at it, but they talked to Uncle Bob and Uncle Bob told them they were idiots or whatever it may be. What's the one piece of advice that you feel like would ring most true to people that would be impactful for them?
this isn't for everyone. Okay.
Yep. There you go. That's it.
This isn't for everyone. But if you love somebody and you have curiosity, then you owe it to yourself to look at this. Because if not this, then what? If not now, when? Or just keep suffering. You can keep suffering alone, or you could give yourself an introduction to something that has nothing but truth and it's founded. The deeper you dig on this, the more truths you're going to find, and the more smart people that are economists and PhDs. I used to hear Charlie Brown's teacher saying money stuff. Like if Chris or anyone was around me, I would walk away. I would just hear wah, 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 like investments and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, just can we talk about sports or girls or anything
else?
other than this?
I think that's why people in this infinite banking space lead with education, because they're like, the more you learn the correct information, the more you'll like it.
Yes.
It's not a rabbit hole that you go down, like the qualified plan rabbit hole, like some of the stuff we talked about today, where you're like, oh, it's a scam. Like they're literally screwing us.
Tyranny and scam.
Yeah, which is why nobody tells you
robbery.
robbery. Yeah, they're literally
tyranny.
robbing us. So, and I think that's why they don't tell people like, hey, before you jump into this 401k or this qualified plan at work, whatever it may be, here's some information you should read. Here's some research papers.
I think the best question that anybody could ever ask anybody, always, is tell me about your experience with it. How is it working for you? Are you practicing it? Because if you talk to any of us, we are. And we all have stories. Like I just told you my 4 stories.
Yep.
And like we're just to the point now where we're going to put our little green men to work and our first investments. We talked about that briefly last night, right? And that's a new journey and I'm a little bit nervous.
Same.
Right? I have a little bit of trepidation because I haven't done it before. We just started the first lien HELOC. I just attached my accounts. I'm approved, got accounts.
Man, I'm about to start that myself. That was some incredible information we got.
And I'll introduce you to Jason. Like he's a great guy. He's got an extra letter in his name. I don't know why, but someone put a Y in the middle. And so, yeah, no, like just being fun, man. And so, but it's all about relationships. Like everything we just talked about in those 30 seconds, it's all about relationships. It's about love. It's about trust. It's about community. And it's about building something that's better than us. Like me being here, you being here with your son and your wife, me being here with my 2 sons and my wife, like my 20, like I've got both ends, my 10-year-old, 21-year-old.
Yeah.
And I had my 21-year-old come watch Carson because Carson's 22.
Yeah. Incredible.
And Carson's, going to be a multimillionaire, probably, if not already, really soon.
Yeah.
And he knows more than most people my age, your age, and older.
Yep.
And it's all about the thinking.
Yep.
It's all about your willingness. And I'll give you permission. If you don't know what we're talking about and you just hear 2 guys like getting to know each other, talking about mindset, talking about money, talking about infinite banking, do yourself a favor and just read the book we talked about, Becoming Your Own Banker, and give yourself permission that you might read the book and it might sound like Charlie Brown's teacher.
It did to me the first time. When I first read it, there was a lot that went over my head. And even though he explains things very easily, it was just a lack of education that I was entering the conversation with, that it was just I'm like, whoo, some of this stuff. So that's why I read it multiple times.
I'm still working through some of the concepts. Like always, there's only one pool of money in the world. There's only like, you talk about the bodies of water, you talk about the earth, you talk about, the Pacific's going to feed the Atlantic, the rain, the rivers, like the Amazon,
it's all connected.
Like that. It's in our water, in our body. It's all connected. The money is the same way with the flow and things, but that concept to me is still like rattling around in my brain. It's not an easy concept. There's certain concepts that don't catch right away, but you have to give yourself permission that if you don't get it, you're not dumb.
Yeah.
I sit there in the room you see me taking notes?
Yep. I take notes as well. Yeah.
And I've seen every presentation that they've done multiple times. And I'm taking notes and I'm writing down little things like assets minus liabilities equals net worth.
Yep.
Like just because I'm
trying to pound it into the brain.
Re-anchor the little things that people are going to talk about and how they see it, their frame, so that I can introduce an alternative frame for how do we create cash flow. Because at the end of the day, the question is really, what is your money doing in this situation?
Yes.
Is it working for you? Is it coming into you? Like Joe used to tell the story all the time. Joe used to tell the story. 2 guys go to a gas station. It's me and you and Joe, Joe, Mr. HELOC. And we go in, we fill up our SUVs.
My Cadillac.
My wife's Cadillac, $100 of gas. We walk in and I pull my wallet out and you pull your wallet out and I pay him $100. You pay him $100. Whose money did you spend, Shawn? And in my mind, I'm thinking, we both just spent $100, Joe. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? Joe has taken it to another level You spent your $100 that you earned by trading time for it. Joe has taken his money, put it to work. He is getting paid interest from the principal that someone else has his money. His $100 is interest. It's not his.
Mhm.
And that is the difference. That example, when you make that shift to accept that that's possible for you. And if you don't know it, you don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Like my ego tells me I know this stuff, but I haven't done it. The other time I invested, I lost 50 grand plus 14% interest. That took me a year to pay off. So like 72 grand total I lost. And Joe's like, well, you're not even an investor yet. He's like, you're not an investor till you lose $1 million. I'm like, I don't want to lose $1 million. Like that about crushed me. I thought I was going to end my marriage. So like, these are the lessons. Like you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to take action. You have to be willing to take ownership. And you have to be willing to say, I don't know this. Don't be a lemming. Don't go along with just because someone says infinite banking is the greatest thing.
Nope.
If you don't understand it, ask the question. Be willing to look stupid.
And I think, again, that's why we lead with the education, because it's like we want you learning that, but we want you asking questions. We also don't want you to get paralyzed by the information. Like a lot of us out here are learn about it, jump in, and keep learning about it because it's a never-ending process. I mean, the growth is going to be unlimited here. You just have to keep going through the process. But you don't want to be one of those people in infinite banking that says, I have to have all the information, every last thing. I need to know how everything's going to lay out and work before I take action because you'll literally never get a policy. It'll be too late.
Yeah. I laugh because it's such a good analogy. Like you're fit. You take good care of yourself. I imagine you go to the gym
6 days a week.
6 days a week. And you do?
I hit different body parts all the time. Stair climber.
And when you started to commit to yourself physically, when you had an idea of what you wanted to look like and feel like, did you just know exactly what your routine is right now and just start doing it?
Nope.
Did you know how much weight you were going to lift?
Nope.
Did you know like what your nutrition was going to be or even what you were going to wear?
Nope.
Did you what did you not know?
Basically didn't know everything. I knew that I can show up and.
But and how long did it take you to make the decision to show up?
Oh gosh, I was taught this practice from a young age. So it was one of those things that was just instilled in me.
But what age was that? Like what?
12.
So at 12, at some point in 12, in your young mind, your young man mind, you decided I'm going to be fit the rest of my life.
Yep.
Did you not make that decision?
I did. Yep.
And you committed to it.
I did.
And how old are you now?
32.
32. So 20 years ago.
Yep.
Right. Math, 32 minus 12. Good. Yeah.
We're good with
I'm
math.
an artist. So yeah.
Sometimes.
So 20 years you've been committed because of that decision. How long did it take you to make that decision? How many moments, how many milliseconds do you think it took? Like, was it a fraction of a second? Was it a 10-minute decision? Was it a 5-hour decision? Was it a 5-year decision to make the decision to start working out? Fractional.
For me, it happened pretty quickly.
Fractional. When you fell in love with your wife and decided that she was the one.
Yep.
It was like that. It was like these couples I hear, I'm driving up or listening to radio, and the couples are making lists of like the qualities that
does this right? Does this wrong? I like this. I don't like that.
Here's some relationship advice. If you're making a list, run the fucking other way, because that's not the person.
It ain't the one, man.
That's not true.
Yeah, I didn't make no list.
There's no list. There's no time to make a decision. If you're studying infinite banking and you haven't done this yet, okay, you're forgiven. I still love you, but you're making a suboptimal decision in your life. I don't judge you for it, but you're making a decision that's not serving you or the things that you care about.
Agreed.
So take action and do something. You got to be like Nike if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
Like my biggest obstacle is to be in my head and not do what we just did. How easy was this?
Same here. I think that's most people's thing is the inner battle that you're facing on a regular basis. Those voices that are always telling you.
I want it to be like perfect though. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a photo and I'm like, oh, it's not very good. And I'm like, oh, I want to have a conversation like this. But all you did is you walked up to me in a second and said, hey, can we talk for a second?
Yep.
You didn't say, hey, would you sit down with me for 20 minutes and have a conversation about infinite banking and deep stuff?
No.
And get it on camera so we can help other people?
Yeah. The willingness to fail.
The willingness to ask.
Yeah. The willingness to fail. And my whole thing is just fail forward. Like if I'm not trying, I fail. If I try, I might fail, But also might go great. It might turn into something
So
awesome. It
you
might
you
provide a lot
learn
of
you
value.
learn every day, right?
Yeah.
So like every night I pray this with Connor. I say, "Thank you, God, for all the blessings and the lessons today," because that's all there is.
Yep.
We're either blessed and touched by something greater than us, and whatever your beliefs, like I said,
Mhm.
not religious, right? I am starting to get someone that is really professing my faith in a bigger way than I ever have. I've always been a believer, but I was Catholic, so I always saw a lot of shitty stuff happen. I thought, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't like
we,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this a lot, right? But the more that I ask, the more that I've took my ego and subjugated it, the more I've realized that someone has already suffered all of the things for all of the things I suffer for, like not asking you for a conversation or not going up to the pretty girl or not going and starting
Yep.
infinite banking. You suffer in your mind over and over and over again. And we're the only ones, we're the only species on the face of the earth that suffers before something's happened or after something's happened and punish ourselves over and over and over. Someone's already suffered for us, man.
Yeah.
We don't have to. We don't have to suffer. So once we pray for the blessings and the lessons, and we pray for courage, kindness, and curiosity, I mean, there's not a lot else we
Yeah.
need.
What else is there? Yeah.
What else is there in community?
Yep. So
So where do you find me?
yeah, tell them where if they like this conversation, if they enjoyed this, if anything that Jason said resonated with you, or you just because I know you're doing some really awesome things. So tell the people where they can find you and follow you and all that stuff. Because again, the whole idea is just keep spreading the good word.
Yeah, we're peers. Shawn and I exist in a blue ocean, right? There's millions and millions of people that need our help. So the more we can inspire, the more we can have these conversations. I'm in. I'm all in. So
Agreed.
you find me wherever you are on this conversation. I'm on jasonsipple.com. My YouTube channel is Jason Sipple. My mission's Founding Fathers. It's Founding Fathers because we need to take back charge of our life. We need to be the people that are going to change things on a you and me level, because the government's not going to do it for you. If you're waiting for the government to fix
Keep
stuff,
waiting.
then keep waiting.
Keep
man.
waiting.
So the whole thing is inspire and educate 10 million followers and their families. Why 10 million? There's 330
Million
million
people in the States.
Americans. 33 million is a tipping point to when people will actually find infinite banking. I figure roughly 10 million of those are men, right? Kids,
makes sense.
you
Yep.
know, so they're the fractional. So we get enough of us men to take back control. We can actually be the ones who are shaping, like, look at where we're at presidentially right now. I saw a sign on a restaurant that said, can we just,
Could be better.
no, it basically said that. It said, can we just agree that there's no president, we'll run ourselves, we'll govern ourselves?
Yeah.
And so I really think that there needs to be strong men and women that actually believe in something, that have truth basis, that are going to be there leading the country.
Agreed.
And so I believe if we can take back charge of the money first, that's going to change a lot of other things with
Agreed.
healthcare and food and education, right?
Agreed.
So Founding Fathers inspire and educate 10 million fathers and their families to avoid financial slavery, to live their legacy, because I want to be there. I don't want to just leave it, and then to make a positive impact in our communities.
Definitely.
And so you can find me on my YouTube channel, just my name. It's Jason Sipple, Sipple. My website, jasonsipple.com. And just my cell number's on there. Call me, text me. I'll answer questions right away. I mean, I love this stuff.
Same here, my man.
I'm
I
grateful,
appreciate
man.
your time.
Yeah, it's fun. Let's do it again.
Let's do it. All right, man.